Assalamu alaikum class. Army Public School and College Khanewal. This is your class 10. Subject is biology. Today's date is 15 June 20 and here I'm your bio teacher Miss Sanajmeel. Okay, our continued chapter is homeostasis, that is chapter number 1, and the topic that we are going to discuss about today is functioning of kidney and osmoregulatory function of the kidney. Let's come towards the functioning of kidney. Okay, here I have mentioned all the functions of the kidney, and what is the basic unit of the kidney? That is the nephron. The structural unit that is basic unit, considered as a basic unit, is known as the nephron. And here this is the diagram given of the nephron. I have elaborated about the structure of the nephrons already, that it is made up of two parts. One is this renal corpuscle and the other one is the renal tubule. Renal corpuscle is just this part that consists of glomerulus. The network of capillaries and Bowman's capsule is a cup-shaped structure in which these blood capillaries are present. The glomerulus is present inside the Bowman's capsule, that is a cup-shaped structure. So this is overall structure of the renal corpuscles. This one here is the renal corpuscle. Next part is renal tubules that started from here. Okay, that started from here. This whole part is of renal tubules, and these renal tubules are further categorized into three parts. First one, this proximal convoluted tubule, ये जो आपको zigzag manners में नजर आ रही है, ठीक है? And the second one is this U-shaped structure that is known as the loop of Henle, is the second part of this renal tubules, and the third one is the distal convoluted tubules. Here again, these zigzag manners tubules are present, known as the distal convoluted tubules. Hence, this is a part of renal tubules. The three parts of renal tubules are here. Basically, there are two parts, renal corpuscles and renal tubules, that are further categorized. Renal corpuscles into glomerulus and Bowman's capsule, and renal tubules are categorized into proximal convoluted tubule, loop of Henle, distal convoluted tubule. And the next part is the collecting duct, where urine get collect from the body. Okay, class. Now I am moving towards the functioning of the kidney. That these are the certain structure that help for the process of urine formation. And basically we categorized into three parts. The first one is the pressure filtration. The first function that is performed by nephron, and the structure which is responsible to perform this pressure filtration process is the renal corpuscles. Okay, only this portion. The pressure filtration is the first step that is taken by this renal corpuscles. What happened here? When blood enters the kidney via the renal artery, it goes to many arterioles, fine, here, and then to the glomerulus, and then this is the network of capillaries known as the glomerulus. The pressure of blood is very high, and so most of the water, you can see here, the most of the water I mentioned here, when the pressure is very high, the most of the water, salts, glucose, urea, these contents get reabsorbed here in this part. This material passes into the Bowman's capsule. This all material, when it passes from the Bowman's capsule, it is known as the glomerular filtrate. Now these contents are known as the glomerular filtrate. When the blood pressure is very high, you can say the hydrostatic blood pressure, what does it cause? It causes the reabsorption of water, salts, glucose, and urea here in this glomerulus. Now, these contents are known as the glomerular filtrate. Now, here is the glomerular filtrate. Fine. This was the first step, the pressure filtration, that comes with great pressure, and when the pressure is very high, it causes a reabsorption of certain contents here. And after that, it is known as the glomerular filtrate. As it is reabsorbed by the glomerulus, now it is known as the glomerular filtrate. Okay, this was the first step, that is known as the pressure filtration. The next step is the selective reabsorption that take place here in these renal tubules. Fine. The next step take place here in these renal tubules. In this step, that is the selective reabsorption. Here this heading is given, the selective reabsorption that is taking place in these, here this line is drawn, which is showing that the selective reabsorption will take place in renal tubules. And do you know, students, that 99% of the glomerular filtrate is reabsorbed into the blood capillaries surrounding renal tubules. It's mean here 99% of the glomerular filtrate gets reabsorbed here. And it also takes place with the help of few processes that you have already known. You are already familiar with osmosis, diffusion, and active transport. These processes are involved in renal tubules. In renal tubules to reabsorb that glomerular filtrate. How does it work? Some water and most of the glucose reabsorbed from the proximal convoluted tubule. Here, these are the proximal convoluted tubule. Okay? You can see here I mentioned three things: water, glucose, and salt. These get reabsorbed from proximal convoluted. This zigzag manners tubules are the proximal convoluted tubules that are supposed to absorb water, glucose, and salt from here. Next, this filtrate move towards the second part of renal tubule known as the loop of Henle. The scientist name was Henle, who discovered this loop, and that's why its name is loop of Henle. This loop of Henle is having two parts, as it is of U shape. You can see this one is the descending part, and here the other part originate the ascending one. When it goes upward, this one is the ascending part. Fine. Okay, the two parts of loop of Henle reabsorb two different contents. The descending one reabsorbed H2O water, and the ascending one reabsorbed the salt from the filtrate. Hence, these two, water and salts, are reabsorbed by descending loop of Henle and ascending loop of Henle. Now, the third part is started. That is the distal convoluted tubules. Here the distal convoluted tubules, and it is responsible to reabsorb water molecules from here. Okay, I told you some water and glucose molecules are reabsorbed from proximal convoluted tubules from this area. Here salts are reabsorbed by active transport, then water flows by osmosis. It's mean यहाँ पर जो हमारे पास salts हैं, ठीक है? Like here I mentioned the salts in this proximal convoluted tubules. You know the process active transport. What is active transport? The flow, or you can see the movement of molecules from the area of lesser concentration towards the area of higher concentration across energy gradient. It means that it utilizes energy. So ये जो process है that take place here in this proximal convoluted tubules to reabsorb these salt contents here. Fine. And the other glucose waters are reabsorbed by the osmosis. Osmosis is another process, or you can say it is another way to reabsorb this material into here proximal convoluted tubules. The descending loop of Henle here, this descending limb, reabsorption of water, while the ascending, I have already told you about the reabsorption of the salt. This distal convoluted tubule that is next here again allows the reabsorption of water into the blood. From this picture, you can easily learn that where what contents are getting reabsorbed and what process are helping you to reabsorb these contents. After reaching the distal convoluted tubules from here, the third step is started, that is known as the tubular secretions. Here it is mentioned, the third one, which is known as the tubular secretions. Here it does take place here. What happened here? Different ions, creatinine, urea, EDC are secreted from blood into the filtrate in renal tubules. Here you can get these all contents here, the ions, creatinines. This is done to maintain blood at a normal pH, and you know that blood pH varies from 7.35. It maintains the blood pH also here. This tubular secretions, it also maintains the blood pH. After the above mentioned steps dissolve, the filtrate present in renal tubule is known as, now here the urine is getting, nephron get collect the urine from this part, the collecting duct. Then it goes back towards from pyramids towards the pelvis, and from pelvis towards depth known as the Hilus point. From Hilus, it get eliminated through the ureters into urinary bladder, where it stay for a time, and after that it eliminates from there. So this was all about the urine formation, that how does it take place. With the help of these three steps, and the certain structures are involved which follow the different processes to reabsorb the important and necessary contents, and the remaining waste material is secreted towards the ureter. This is all about the functioning of the kidney. One thing I would like to add here, normal chemical composition of urine. What is the normal chemical composition of a urine? Water is 95%. There is urine 93% of that. Chloride ions are 1.87, sodium ions 1.17, potassium ions 0.750%. Others ion and compounds are variable amount. Next is osmoregulatory function of kidney. What is the osmoregulation? If you remember what is osmoregulation, I will start from here, as it is it also performing osmoregulatory function. Then the question is, what is osmoregulation? Osmoregulation is the maintenance of salt and water in the body. That how do you maintain the amount of salts and water in the body is known as the osmoregulation. And you know that in your body, kidney is responsible to maintain this functioning. Okay, so a kidney can make two types of urine here. One is known as the concentrated urine, and the other one is the dilute urine. It's mean hypertonic urine and hypotonic urine. Hypertonic urine with the excess or large amount of solute, or hypertonic urine or dilute urine, that is with less amount of solute. Clear? Okay. The structure which is involved here is this loop of Henle. I have already discussed about it in the functioning of the kidney, that descending reabsorb the water and ascending reabsorb the salt molecules here. Fine. Okay, now see. First we see that if your body is having excess amount of water, fine, that you're not having any deficiency, your body is having a good amount of water, kidneys form. In that condition, what happened, that your kidneys are having a huge amount of, or you can say the a high amount of water in the body. But what happened, and it forms a hypotonic urine. It means the less solute, and the with less solute, it is known as the hypotonic. For this purpose, what happened in this process, that if we say body is having excess amount of water and it is producing a hypotonic urine with less solute concentration, what is the purpose? For this purpose, kidneys filter more water from glomerular capillaries. Here what happened, the kidneys filter more water from glomerular capillary into Bowman's capsule. Similarly, less water is reabsorbed. So reabsorption of water is here less, and abundant dilute urine is produced. Bring down the volume of body fluid to normal. तो यहाँ पर क्या होता है, less reabsorption of water होती है, that is causing the hypertonic urine. और यहाँ पर opposite of this is here concentrated urine. What happens when your body feels the situation where there is a shortage of water or deficiency of water in the body? So what happened there? It produces the hypertonic urine. For this purpose, what happened in your body? Less filtration and more reabsorption produce small amount of concentrated urine, increase the volume of body fluids to normal. So this is whole process is under the hormonal control. That is not explained here, but let me tell you about that. There are two hormones which are responsible for this counter mechanism, and these two hormones are aldosterone and ADH. If you can note it down, you can, but no need to write it because it's not in your syllabus. But it is actually, you know that this process is taking place inside of your body. It is actually an internal mechanism. For this purpose, the stimulation is from the pituitary glands. Fine, because hormones are working here. So the message, the chemical. So here, basically, here is a chemical coordination that is taking place here. After the osmoregulatory function of kidney, I end up with my lesson because the functioning of kidney and osmoregulatory function, these both are very important. From board point of view, functioning of kidney is too much important for long question. And this is osmoregulatory function. It is important for short questions. So the both questions are very important here.